Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the No Tracers podcast. My name is Kay. I am known as No Tracers. And this week, we are talking to a couple friends of mine. One of them I've actually had on the podcast before. His name is Hysterical Panic. His name is Mike, but he goes by Hysterical Panic. And he is joined today by Max Bond. Together, these two gentlemen have created a zine. So if you are into printed photography in the form of a zine, something very unique these two have done, and we're going to be talking about it today on the episode. Their zine is called Open 24/7. I'm so excited to share this episode with you guys. It was such a great conversation. Let's dive into it. Welcome to No Tracers. Across the world, we slip through fences, climb into shadows, and uncover the beauty in decay. We are the Unseen Network, a community of explorers, documenting what the world left behind. Welcome to No Tracers, a podcast of true urban exploration stories. My name is Kay, and together with fellow adventurers, we're bringing the forgotten back to life, with one common thing in mind: leave no trace. So before we get into this episode of the No Tracers podcast, if you are new here, please do hit that subscribe button. I love making this show, and I've got some really cool episodes coming out for you guys, so definitely stick around. I've been doing this podcast for so long, and I do have a full-time career. I operate a business. I am a videographer and an editor, and I shoot rocket launches, and I'm quite busy, but I do love exploring abandoned places, and this podcast has not only allowed me to connect with other like-minded people in the community, but it's also given me a way to help give these people that have unique and interesting stories a way to share their stories with you guys, my audience. So very grateful for you all. Thank you so much. If you don't mind, if you do like the show, please take the 10 seconds that it takes to leave a rating and feedback, whether you are on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave a rating and feedback. It helps the podcast grow, and it helps us find a bigger audience of people just like you that are into strange and weird hobbies like urban exploring. But this week on the No Tracers podcast, I would like to introduce you guys to Hysterical Panic and Max Bond, who together have created a zine called Open 24/7. You can submit your photography to the zine if you would like to. And if you've got a cool story to tell, be sure to send that to them as well. You can either hit them up on Instagram. I've put both of their Instagram accounts down below in the description. Or you can go to wideopen247.com and you can check out what they're doing, join the newsletter, and submit your photography to be a part of what they are doing at Open 24/7. Again, the website is wideopen247.com. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourselves and how long you've been exploring to the No Tracers audience.
Yeah, psyched to be here. I'm Mike. I am at hysterical.panic online. I'm a explorer, documentary photographer, and I've been going into places I'm not supposed to go for close to 30 years.
Amazing. And we also have Max Bond on the show. Max, would you give us an intro? Tell us how you got into urban exploring and how long you've been exploring for.
Sure. I'm so hyped to be here. I would say around 10 years in the official Urbex world. I got into it through just New York City photographers, and one took me to an Urbex spot, and that was it. I was hooked. And after that, I just all my thoughts and photography stuff really focused on Urbexing. I'll do other things, but that's what really drives me and motivates me and keeps me going.
So for those listening to the show, we had Mike on last year, and so he did his own solo episode with me, and so I'm gonna have to do the same with Max so you guys can hear more about his story. But these two gentlemen have done something really cool together that I really wanted to kind of highlight and feature on the show. But first of all, before we get into what you guys have created, can you guys tell me how your paths crossed? Like, how did you guys meet each other, and like what's that story like?
This is funny. Go for it, Max, because it's more on your side of the fence.
Yeah, this is pretty nuts. Basically, my best friend at work is Mike's wife.
Oh, it's simple.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bizarre. And his wife is insanely awesome. and then we kind of like did a double date, wives,
Cute.
and then all of a sudden about 2 years ago, Mike's like, I'm getting a camera. I'm getting a Sony camera. And I think that was it. We said, let's go get Urbexing. He's always been a supporter of my work, my photos. And then that's it. We've been hitting it hard for about 2 years now.
A little longer than that, yeah, together. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And we've been hitting hard. Mike has been just like, loving the whole way he's been going at it. He's just increasing his skills and his photography, everything. He's killing it right now, and I'm so happy that it's great to find a buddy you go urbexing with. I'm sure Kay, you can agree with.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's one of the most clutch things that can happen when you like click with someone,
yeah,
and
dude.
you can go anywhere with them. That is like one of the best things that happen to an urbexer.
Absolutely. And I have an episode that will come out before this episode, and my guest was talking about the same kind of thing, like finding your kind of clique, or the person or the people that you like to run with, if you will. And I was saying that like something that people don't really know when they're just getting into urban exploring is that like you should be cautious of who you trust in this game, because you can't trust everybody. Some people are obviously have ulterior motives. They're just trying to get locations, or just trying to like use you for like certain things. So like to be able to find that person you trust is very important, because one, like your safety is kind of in their hands as well. Like they're kind of responsible for not only keeping themselves safe, but also like vicariously keeping you safe as well. So you got to like look out for each other and make sure everyone's good when you are doing this stuff, because it is it can be dangerous. And
Kay, you're 100% right. I always tell everybody it's always better to go with more people. Solo, yes, there's some advantages,
sure.
But I just think always having four eyes, whether it's you're looking out for a security guard or the hole in the floor.
Yeah.
And I just think creatively speaking, it's just, I love the synergy of bouncing ideas off each other as you're exploring. And like that to me is golden.
Absolutely. And so Max, before we started, Mike was telling me that you're actually a Sony Alpha ambassador. Can you tell me just a little bit background of your photography? I'd love to know a little bit more about like how you got into photography, how you actually became an ambassador for Sony. Because I mean, tons of photographers out there are trying to get that slot. You know what I'm saying?
No, I honestly, it's some of the greatest validation I have is the idea that Sony backs my work up is just insanely awesome for my confidence, and that I'm the only urbexer that does it mostly in their photography, and the whole team is about 50 to 100 of us in the nation, and that just is so awesome because it's not considered one of the main niches of photography. It's considered a little bit, as you know, Kay, it's like considered a bit out there. Oh, those dudes are crazy, or she's nuts. It's weird. It's illegal. There's all these like false illusions about it. Yes, it is illegal, but it is a damn real type of photography. It's a real niche of photography, and I think it's also one of the most challenging ones because lighting sucks. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You cannot bring lights and other things into a place that has no power. So I think it makes you a better photographer.
100%.
And for them they found me through our Instagram, and I'm thinking I'm going now in like 7 or 8 years with them.
Wow,
which is pretty nuts. This will be probably, and then I'm just I mean, they're just amazing. And I just did a Portugal trip. They lent me a lens, and they featured my work. And then in Italy last summer, they actually cooked me up with an entire a whole lens just to have, just because I told them about what I was doing in Italy, exploring, and they bought into it. They love the idea, and that's why I always like talk up Sony, because they truly support their customers, whether it's me or whether it's a regular person. They really are a great company to be associated with. Yeah,
I mean, I started out, first camera was gifted to me. It was a Nikon, and I didn't really like the the interface, that what have you. There's the ongoing battle that has always been between Nikon and Canon specifically. And then Sony obviously came in and they were like, "Hey, motherfuckers, we're here too," and kind of just like took over the game. And
That's
so
true.
I'm saying.
Yeah, because Canon and Nikon was 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then about 10 years ago when I first started,
Yeah.
I bought a Sony. I was like, why are you buying the Sony? That's not a TV or something. And then now they're number 1 by far. They're crushing
number 1 by far, dude. It's crazy. So, my first camera was a Nikon D whatever the fuck. And then I I was living overseas at the time in the UAE when I first started like photography, and then moved to Australia for a year, finished my degree in film production, and started shooting concert photography, moved over to Canon, and shot on Canon like super loyally until 2016. The end of 2016, I was shooting a video for like a behind the scenes thing for a magazine called Alternative Press. And
shout out to AP.
Oh, for real, forever and ever. So grateful for them and everything they like allowed me to do. But my buddy was like helping out with the shoot, and he was like friends with one of the artists, so he put a Sony in my hands, and he was like, "Yo, you should just shoot this on this camera. Just try it. Just like let me know what you think." So put the Sony in my hands, and I was like, "Oh shit." And immediately went and bought one and like switched everything over. And so, I mean, I've been shooting on Sony since the end of 2016. And I was telling Mike before you hopped on, like I shoot rocket launches for a production company. So we go down to South Texas and we film the SpaceX Starship launches. And my friend that I brought on the team, he's been a loyal Canon shooter for 8 years. But we just made the decision this week to switch everything over to Sony, like completely going Sony route. That's awesome. So everything looks the same in editing because we're doing like documentaries and like all kinds of shit with NASA, SpaceX, you name it. We're media accredited through NASA and SpaceX now, so it's like we're just kind of growing this production company. And so we just priced out two doubles of everything for our full kit, like build out, and it's wild. And I made my buddy Brandon a video. It's like it's so dramatic. We put that Sarah McLachlan song "In the Arms of the Angels" over the video, and it's like after 8 years of brand loyalty and like over like record breaking shutter count, Brandon is saying bye to Canon and hello to Sony. It's so fucking ridiculous, but it's just like, I love their, they're great. Like you said, the customer support is great, and we're dying to do some stuff with Sony. So we'll have to talk about that separately. But let's go ahead and go into what you guys have created together. Tell me what the heck is Open 24/7.
Open 24/7. I mean, in the easiest terms, it's a zine. It's basically a zine about exploring that Max and I have put together over the last couple of months. And we wanted to make something that was super like fancy on really good paper with really good photos, for the main reason that we want people to get this and keep it and not just throw it in the garbage. Because I think a lot of Max and I, but pretty much anyone who's a photographer, you spend a lot of time making your photos, and then basically people see it on Instagram for a third of a second and then it disappears. And we wanted to do something that kind of was the opposite of that we hoped, people would keep hanging around and look at it more than once. That was kind of that. I mean, so that's what it is. It's like a fancy zine.
Yeah, so I think as photographers, and Max, maybe you can talk a bit about this, as a photographer, like I feel like the art of printing your work died when Instagram was born. I think everything as it went super digital, like people were like, I can just post on Instagram. Like I personally have 2 urban exploring themed photography books that I sell on like the website and stuff, but also all the artwork around my house is my photography. Like I print out, frame, and I just got into film photography. So I just shot the Abandoned New Orleans Six Flags on film, and printed out like the Ferris wheel photos, and like it's crazy. And I feel like I love that you guys are doing something that is for print, that is actually tangible. So can you talk to me about why you wanted to do a physical like product, other than what Mike just said about it's very fleeting online, but like can you just talk about the importance of like
okay, I gotta tell you, I feel like we've known each other for years already, because Mike will tell you, when you walk into my house, there's giant beautifully framed images
Love
that
it.
I shot urbexing.
I love it.
And I believe so strongly in the idea of seeing something live.
Mm.
You know, we all love art, and there's a massive difference between a little tiny 3-inch screen and a massive 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot image in front of you in
Yeah.
high quality paper or whatever mode you will do. So I strongly believe that, and I'll add on to that. I go on family trips with my wife and daughters, and I make photo albums for the past like 10 years. And I swear, I pick up those albums. They're like a little bigger than a zine, hardcover,
Mm-hmm.
but they give you such delight of holding a photograph in your hands. It transports you to that moment. You feel the connection with that time in your life. And that is the same kind of thing. You pick up that zine, you see some incredible images, and some of these places that are in our zine, people have been to, and they can
Mm-hmm.
connect about it. Oh, I remember when I went there in 2016, I got chased out. Or I remember this spot, it was my favorite rooftop. It's just that connection when you're holding something in your hand. It's beyond the screen, and it's a powerful two-way thing going on.
Absolutely. So can you guys talk to me about the name Open 24/7? How did that become the identity for your zine?
'Cause the bando is always open. It's open 24/7. I mean,
That's right, baby.
that's literally the idea behind it, because I think part of, there's some writing in there too. Like we did some
Sure.
essays, and there's an interview we can talk about with a really amazing explorer that we're friends with from Paris, Fred. And but just that idea that I don't know, there's more to it. I'm like losing my train of thought here.
Well, I can just add out, Mike, that maybe what I think he's trying to say is that the bando is whenever you want it, you can go. Whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
Sunday morning or a Friday night, whether it's winter or summer, it's there for you. Getting in, that's a different thing, but it's there for you, and it's up to you if you can, figure it out, enter it and explore and photograph it and have some fun. I think that's what we were thinking behind it, Mike, right? That it's always there.
Yeah, that, and I think absolutely that, but also the idea that there's like, in a sense, and I think this has to do with it being a physical object. When you're in a bando, it's open all the time, and you're kind of in a separate world that doesn't necessarily follow the same rules and norms that
Sure.
that you have
True.
in real life. And also, it ties to the idea of it being a zine, because it's kind of outside. A zine is outside of the control system of
Wow.
Instagram. No, I
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
it
yeah,
really
that's
is. It's
it.
like and
Wow.
I think I came. I'm an old punk. I came from the
Sure.
New York, New Jersey punk scene. I did a zine a long time ago, but I
Mm.
think that spirit of just like like we all complain and moan about the platforms. It's like, well, you can kind of easily these days make your own thing and be in complete control of it, which I think ties into the idea of open 24/7, and probably why a lot of people explore, right?
Absolutely.
A,
So go
a
ahead.
world within a world, right, Kay? It's like
Oh
the
yeah.
world that you don't see that's tucked behind the little curtain, but
Yeah.
it's open to us who choose to go there. Right,
You
Mike?
know,
No, that's for sure. That's it. It's like, about hidden meeting. And that was, one of the ideas here, is that there's just like more to it than just like run up to the spot, tag it and forget about it. Like
sure, sure. Yeah,
that's
yeah. Yeah, no, it's I always tell people, that listen to the show, or people that don't even know, or don't even, have no interest in urban exploring, when they ask me like, well, why, like, what's so special about it? There's a lot of things, obviously, but when you go into a bando, the world outside seems to like evaporate.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
like you said, a world within a world. Like it's our own world in there, and if normal people walk by an abandoned building, they're like, ew, gross, that's disgusting, they should tear it down. We're like, oh my God, how do I get in there? Like, I gotta check it out.
But
Like,
do you know,
fuck.
Kay, I'm so confident in what we do is special
Oh
that I
yeah.
will take a random person off the street and take him into a bando, and I guarantee you the majority will be like, yo, thank you. I enjoyed
Yeah.
that. Didn't think I was gonna like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was intimidated, I was scared, it was dirty. But I'm telling you, bandos can hit people in so many different ways, emotionally,
Oh yeah.
historically, exciting wise, thrill. There's just so many different levels that a bando can I think could be appreciated by all walks of life.
Sure. I mean, there's nothing better than taking someone for their first Explorer,
Hell yeah.
and afterwards they're like, "I get it now." You
Yes.
know, like that's it. I'm like, thank God, Jesus. Like, obviously. So, for you guys, when you were creating the first issue, what were some of those like early hurdles that you might have run into, whether it be creatively, logistically, or even like emotionally? Like, what photo goes where?
Yeah, I mean, it's a semi hurdle, but laying out a magazine, it takes a long time,
Yeah.
and it's especially difficult when you're trying to like narrow down, right? We all probably have at least hundreds of photos we like, maybe thousands,
Sure.
depending on how long you've been shooting. And so it is hard to kind of pick your favorites and throw them away. I mean, so layout, if anybody is going to do this, like, yeah, it takes a long time. It's real easy to make mistakes. Apparently, we have two typos in there that our friend
Hey,
Bentley Shots caught, which
we
we've been
love we love a typo. Okay, it just shows that it wasn't written by Chat GPT. Okay.
That's true. I like that. Thank you for that, Kay.
Of
And
course.
and I think if anybody is thinking of it, it's definitely time consuming, but at the same time, man, it's so much like it's like building a puzzle, Mike, right? Putting all the
Oh yeah.
pieces
Oh
together.
yeah.
There's something so fucking satisfying about it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to issue two. We have some ideas to share with you, Kay.
Sure.
But first, Mike, why don't we talk about how the format is?
Yeah, sure. So another hurdle you might run up against is just like when we were talking before about printing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, printing photos and type for print is a whole other thing, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
you've got to figure, I mean, there's matching. You have to figure out who your printer is, and
Mm-hmm.
it took us a lot of tries to get the color right. But yeah, it's fancy. It's A4, which is like 11 by
Wow. Yeah.
17.
Big.
It's on. We kind of went a little bit nuts, and it's on like really good thick paper, and we had it printed at this awesome like indie punk print shop in Philly,
Sick.
Fireball. So if you're on the East Coast and you need a really good zine printer, they did a killer job.
Yeah, Fireball Printing, big shout out. They're an awesome place, and they couldn't be more professional. And their work is supreme quality, and the price. I thought they were so good with that too. So if you're thinking of printing anything, big shout out to them.
Yeah, they did a great job, but that's what I think it all ties back to the idea. Like, I hope when people get it, like, I think this is something you'd feel bad about throwing in the garbage. And like people just, you shouldn't throw away books, right?
Yeah.
Somebody, and
Yeah.
I
Sure.
feel like this almost qualifies as a book.
No, Mike, I'm gonna do you better. It's a coffee table worthy edition. I'm not
That's
saying
it.
that because it's mine. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
telling you, we went hard because him and I are very particular, and we
Sure.
want if we put anything out, we always want it to be amazing. And when we want to put out garbage, it is real. I'm telling you, it looks great. The quality is great, and we're so damn proud of it. Right, Mike? I don't think we could have done anything different. And we think we went with the better quality stuff, and it shows. It's really a very aesthetic magazine.
It can. My favorite point is if you open it up like full size, like to the middle fold, would be
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Oh yeah.
center fold. It's two side to side pictures from our buddy Fred Frito amazing explorer. And on the left hand side, like full page picture of this abandoned space shuttles that everyone knows, and the second one is this epic shot of
Oh,
like a steel plant. And
oh, the
not only is
centerfold.
he's an
Let's go.
insanely good photographer, and that's why
Ugh,
he's got the centerfold, but the
wow.
photos just look great printed out. I mean, and these are photos of his that I've seen online before, but just seeing them printed, it was really cool.
You
And Mike, just to add on to that, Kay, if I may,
yeah,
I'm
yeah, please.
sorry. I
No,
just
go.
feel that we knew right away that we not only wanted photos, but we wanted reading material. We
Sure.
wanted to be like I thought I gave this to Mike. We wanted like a GQ version of like
Mm,
urbexing, like something that you can read, a Vanity Fair, a Nat Geo, something that there's
mm.
something palpable there. It's not just beautiful pictures, but so we wanted to have an interview in every issue, and we want to highlight some of the best urbex photographers, explorers in the world. There's so many talented people out there, Kay, and a lot of them are not even known.
Oh
They might have
yeah,
smaller
exactly.
accounts, or they might be different continent than you. But I think that's a big thing for us, that we wanted you to like read and get stuff besides the images. And Fred is a perfect example of one of the top explorers, and his stories are great. his insights great of where Urbex is going, and the photography aspect, the exploring aspect. And I think we want to continue that issue 2 as well. We want to interview people every single issue, and we're always looking for people. So we love to hear some people maybe in your comment section, or in reach out to us about what would be a perfect person you would like to be interviewed by us for issue 2. Right,
yeah, I think that the 2 things. One, like this podcast was my way of getting to know people that weren't just in my area. You know, like I created this podcast during COVID, and it was like the first urban exploring podcast. And then after that, there are now a bunch, which is fucking awesome. Like I don't see them as like competition. I see them as like helping raise awareness about the community and giving people a platform to tell their stories. And that's why I created this podcast. And I've gotten to not only meet over, virtually meet a bunch of these explorers, but I've since gotten to meet them in person, namely Bentley Shots, Lucy Lou,
Oh, God.
Yeah, people all over the country, the list goes on. So it's been a great medium to be able to do that and to be able to share their stories with the audience that I've built here. And the second thing I wanted to bring up is, your centerfold being one of the images being the space shuttle that everybody knows about. Obviously, I shoot rocket launches, and Russia actually just launched a rocket today. And I was trying to go over there and shoot it, but obviously with the state of things right now, it's a little questionable. And media credentials to go to Baikonur, you have to submit like 30 days in advance. So like I didn't meet the window. But that being said, a friend of mine may or may not be friends with somebody that may or may not know some people that may or may not be able to get me access to the shuttle without having to walk 8 kilometers through the fucking tundra.
That would be crazy.
In theory, that would be pretty sick to be able to see the fucking space shuttle.
It would, because everyone I've spoken
it's a bucket
to a couple.
List.
Yeah, I've spoken to a couple of people who've been there though.
Yeah,
including Fred. And I don't think people realize how difficult it is to get to this thing. I just did an episode because some dudes were heading out there, and one of them ended up dying on the way. He just fucking died.
Yep.
It's dangerous, bro.
The French guy, right?
Dehydration. Yeah. Exactly, man.
It's so sad.
It's so fucking sad. And like his buddy that was with him, that obviously lived, that went to the military checkpoint to like get help. Yep. They came back, got his friend. Obviously, his friend had passed. And then they arrested him, obviously, but like not obviously. Like what the fuck? Like that's so traumatizing. Yeah,
you're right. I never thought about that. You're right.
It's crazy. Like sorry about your friend. Put these handcuffs on. You're coming with us. Fuck.
And you probably feel responsible. And now they put you in
guilt,
cuffs.
Dude.
I mean, I heard that. I heard that it's pretty. I mean, I don't think they go after you that hard, from what I've heard.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still
it's like a slap in the face.
Well, think about the abstract, dude. Like. You're in the middle of the desert in Kazakhstan, trespassing on military property, found with a dead body.
That's pretty fucking wild.
That's pretty rough, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So for
it's
you
a sad
guys,
story, though.
It's very sad, and like I wanted to talk about that on the show because it does happen. People get hurt. People, I've had several. Well, unfortunately, I've had several people tell me horror stories about, people falling off of roofs, people falling down elevator shafts, it's a dangerous thing that we do, and we do it because we're passionate about it and we're willing to take those risks, knowing full well that anything could happen in these places. And so obviously this is a way to raise awareness about those things as well. But I mean, it's also the beauty in this hobby, if you will, of not only the people, the places, but also the memories you're making. Like we're doing something that a majority of the world will never even want to experience or try to experience because they're maybe too afraid or whatever reason it is. I think that what we're doing is so special, and to show it and share it with people in the way you guys are doing with this zine is so magical. And I have so much respect. And for me, and I know you guys can probably relate, like when I printed my photography books about urban exploring, it is the least profitable thing that I sell, but I get the most fulfillment out of signing them and mailing them to people. There's nothing better.
Yeah, I'm so right. I wanted to add something to that, Kay. First of all, you mentioned Lucy Lou. Big shout out to Lucy. She's amazing. I met her last summer. One of my favorite people I've ever met. And also, I think, Kay, you brought up something really nice too, that the community, Urbex community always gets shit on. All you hear all these terrible things.
Mhm.
Like there's this current thing about people intentionally destroying spots out
Yeah,
east.
yeah.
And it's just like you hear such horrible stories about people using people or
Mhm.
jealousy or whatever you hear, people locking up spots with
Yep.
their own. But what I
That's
think
so
this
real.
zine
Fucking crazy.
does, it shows that there is an actual community. There is some good here.
Yeah.
That us wanting to interview Urbexers, us wanting to get other people to be highlighted their photos in the zine for issue
Mm.
2, Mike, right? Is something where we're making the community into a real sense of community, not about all the negatives you hear, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our issue 2 is going to be Portugal. So anybody
Oh,
is
hey,
down to
I got,
send
hold
some
on.
Portugal
Listen,
shots.
I got some Portugal shots, but I also got a guy. Do you guys know Cursed Sketchbook? I think he changed.
Yes.
Okay, so I think he changed his
yeah.
username, but Mr. Sketch.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
illustrated my second photography book. So I gave him all my photos, and he
Yeah.
illustrated, because it's called How to Explore Abandoned Buildings. It's a guidebook for exploring, but it's like photos.
Nice.
So it's like I sent him like a certain number of photos, and he did the illustrations of whatever that rule or like guide number was.
Yeah.
To illustrate, like, whether it be like watch out for dogs. So like my watch out for dogs photo is actually in Portugal, and he drew like a character running from some dogs that he also drew. It's insane. This dude
We
is
had
so
a dog
talented.
incident in Portugal.
Oh my God, please tell me real quick. Side tangent. Let's go.
We were at this place. It's a monastery, right, Max?
Okay.
I'm getting that. I think.
I think it actually was a seminary, but close enough.
Sorry, a
Close.
seminary, and it's in like a pretty rural part of Portugal. Like, we literally were driving down a essentially one lane dirt road for the
Amazing.
last maybe 2 miles. And at one point a guy was blocking the road on a tractor talking to his friends. Like, so we had to drive around. So that kind of setup. So we get to the place,
Sick.
and as soon as we get out of the car, these like dogs just come like running at us and
A
are
pack
like
of dogs, bro.
pack of dogs. Yeah.
Yes. And at first I was like, oh, don't worry about it, Mike. These are little tiny yappers. And then I turned
One of
around.
them was a very
There's
big
this
dog.
massive hound of the Baskervilles like on my
Oh.
shoulder. I'm like, yo, where did that guy come from? I just run into the ruins. Oh, and I know the dog ain't gonna chase me in there.
That's crazy.
But the dogs, we were in there shooting, and it was one of the most visually interesting places I think I've ever been. It's that place where it has like the green collapsing ceiling, and it looks like it's frozen mid-collapse.
Oh,
But
yeah.
incredible, beautiful place. But the entire time we were in there, those dogs did not stop loudly barking. If for a minute, it was at least
annoying.
1 hour possibly, and they were right outside the place just barking for that entire
Oh my
time.
God.
It was unnerving, actually.
Oh yeah, because you're like, somebody's gonna come like see what the
Yep.
fuck is going on.
Yep.
Okay, exactly. You pegged it. I'm like, damn, the fucking farmer's gonna come in here.
Yeah, but now for next time, do what Shy does, the explorer that does trains and rooftops and
That
shit.
guy is incredible.
He's insane. He won't do a podcast. I've asked him. He's like, I don't really do interviews, and I'm like, bro, but your stories are crazy. I'm trying to like chip away at him slowly, but he brings dog food with him because of things like this. One, he's like a nice guy and likes to help the little stray puppies, but two, it will give them something to be distracted by while you go explore.
That's a good idea. I might
I'm
have
saying.
to get some dog treats and stash
Yes.
them in the camera bag.
Yes. So, how do you guys decide which photos make the cut for the Zine? Is there going to be like, I know you've done one episode and you're working on two, but for future episodes, are there going to be like themes per issue? Is it more of like a free form thing? Like, are you guys going to do like a Halloween theme for October? Like, what are we doing here?
I think for this one, we tried to theme them and failed.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
So I know Max, even I talked a bunch about we could put them together this way, and then what we eventually ended up doing was we just sort of laid them out in the most like pleasing way on the page without any real rhyme or reason as far as how they're connected, which is something we want to do for the next one. So I think
Sure.
even if it's loosely themed around Portugal, it's a lot, I think, simpler, because this one was just like, let's just pick shots we really like and put them in here because they've never been printed before.
Sure.
But I think that for 2, we would like I said, we would definitely want to open up to submissions for others besides the person we interviewed. And I think as the theme idea is amazing, Kay. Portugal definitely is going to be 2. But yes, you mentioned Halloween. Without a doubt, I was thinking that the same thing. Maybe for a fall issue. But yeah,
that could be sick with like the fall colors.
Yes.
Oh my
God.
God.
Maybe when the Olympics start, we could do a sports theme one.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many cool
sick.
options. Yeah. How sick would that be?
Cool. That'd be so
Olympics,
sick.
when the Olympics comes
God.
rolling in, we get everybody submits like their best sports
That'd
abandoned
be so
spot.
fun.
Yes. And then we interview someone who can relate to that, who's been to that.
Yeah.
So
I know what the pool will be. There'll be a lot of abandoned pools.
A lot of pools.
Yes, that's number 1.
lot
Yes.
of pools,
Everybody has
baby.
a fucking pool shot.
You
Yes.
do a summer Zine and it's just pools. Just fucking
Yes,
pools.
yes.
Yeah.
July 4th. It's just fucking
Oh
pools.
my God. July 4th. Fucking look, we're coming up
I
with
like
ideas.
that a
We're
lot.
ideating here, okay? We're making ideas. That's awesome. Okay, so it's more of like a free form. I like that, and it makes it a little bit less restrictive on your part for having to find such specific things like every single time.
Kay, I think the only thing we really want is just keep that aesthetic,
Sure.
keep it like a high standard.
Of course.
Everything we include, we really feel strong about. We want to just have something that people will say like, yo, that's a dope photo, And
Absolutely.
furthermore, for issue 2, we want to expand some of these. We want to add some little articles like, Kay, how about this idea? When you done urbexing, isn't food your first thought?
Oh, dude, the post Urbex meal goes so
Hell
hard.
yeah.
Goes
Is that
so
the
hard.
best?
Oh,
You,
there's nothing better.
You all cheer with your local brewed beers, and you got your local food. So
Yeah.
we already have some spots: Detroit, Philly,
Yeah.
New York, that we want to include like a monthly or whenever we produce it, like a food spot,
That's
a gear,
so fun.
a little gear article.
Yeah.
And then Mike, you had a great idea about dead spots, Mike.
Yeah, we were talking and I'm sure some people are not going to like this, but we
Fuck
thought
'em.
it'd be, yeah, that's kind of what we think too. But it'd be really interesting to have an ongoing running list, if it comes out every few months, of spots that are dead.
You mean
because
dead as in like gone?
either gone or have become like so dangerous or inaccessible.
Okay.
I feel like I hear from a lot of people, right, that they don't know if a spot is gone or not, and so it'd be nice to save people the trouble of driving hours.
I mean,
Sure.
give you a perfect example. We just came back from Portugal. We went to see this awesome villa. We were so hyped. We drove really far. It was on the border with Spain.
Yep.
We get there, and literally the construction workers are there. They're refurbishing the entire villa. It must be a new owner,
Fuck.
and there's nothing left, and there's workers there. And we're like, fuck. I mean, that's happened to everybody. You drive to a hospital, and it's burnt down.
Yeah.
You drive to a school, and now it's an apartment building. Like, yes. I mean, not everybody's like dialed into the latest rumor.
Of course, because you
So
see
I
a
think
post on
it's-
Insta or Reddit or Google or whatever, and you're like, I gotta go hit that now, and you get there and it's sealed up in a fucking sarcophagus of a building.
Right. And some places can go quick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't realize they're even gone. And people tell me like, yo, that spot's gone. I'm like, what? When did that happen? And especially when you travel, when you go to Detroit, you go to Philly, when you go to Italy, and you don't go there all the time.
Yep.
You don't, so that you're even more behind on the info. So I think that's a really cool thing. That's interesting, Mike. Do you think some people might be mad? Why would people be
because
mad?
people are mad about everything. Come on.
Yeah, I
man.
just feel like any discussion that I mean, part of it I think is just online culture in general is
100%.
just awful. But I think any discussion, if like let's say you're a person and your only question was, hey, is this hospital still a spot? Half the people are just going to attack you for asking for spots,
sure.
even if you know where it is, where, and really all you're trying to say is save
Is it
me a
still there?
4-hour
Yeah,
drive.
yeah.
Like you don't have to tell me
Yeah.
anything. Like thumbs up or thumbs down. This is still
Yeah.
a dwelling or building or structure.
But that's why we believe strongly in the good of the community, not the bad.
course.
I think that helping the Urbex Explorer is a good thing.
I
You
agree.
know?
I mean, yeah, I agree. It's a community is inherently has like a good context, and I think that the bastardization of the word community has been mostly due to online.
Yes.
Unfortunately, like, you know, Twitter space, fucking Reddit, all that stuff, like it's really bastardized what the word community is supposed to mean. But what's interesting about, you know, the dead spot thing is it makes me think like you could also do like a RIP section, like spots that were great, like the legends of Urbex that are now gone. You know, like
And we mean gone, like gone forever, or just so damaged?
Buildings. So buildings either demolished, burned down, whatever, gone.
That's what we mean. Yeah, it's exactly what we mean.
Okay,
like a dead spot. Like like a building that's
R.I.P.
no longer
R.I.P. section.
Yeah.
You could. Oh my God, you could. You could list it as obituary listings for the fucking.
Oh my God, I love that.
That's so fun. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, I'll give you a little trivia. Do you know Tombstone, Arizona, the famous Wild West town?
Yes.
Doc Holliday?
Yes.
Their newspaper is called The Epitaph.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
That's very clever.
That's so brilliant. I'm just going to pause the podcast real quick, guys. Hi, this is Editing K in post-production. So I've been racking my brain on how I can get you guys some really cool referral things as far as like things that are adjacent to like urban exploring and like spooky horror themed stuff. And I found the thing. If you are into scary movies, if you're into horror stuff, you've probably heard of the film production house A24. They brought you films like one of my favorite films, Talk to Me. They are not paying for this. This is strictly a referral thing that I think is actually really good bang for your buck. So the way it works is they have a monthly or an annual membership through A24. It's called the AAA24. All access, obviously, is what that means. But this is how it works. So with A24, you sign up for the membership. You can pay, like I said, monthly or annually. I have the annual plan just because it's easier to do up front without having to deal with the monthly subscription thing. But this is how it works. If you sign up under me, you get a free month of membership. If you stay on, I get a free month of membership. You know, we both benefit from this. But these are the perks. Why do this? What's the point? Why does it matter? Why is A24 so much cooler than any other like membership? So this is how it works. You get, and this is the coolest thing, you get free tickets to every A24 movie on opening weekends. So for example, this last weekend, March 28th, was the Death of a Unicorn film release. So I got free ticket to go see this movie at Regal Cinemas, at like, you know, notable big cinemas. This isn't like your off-market, like random movie theaters. This is like Regal, AMC, cinemas. You can go see the movie opening weekend for free, which is already saving you money if you like these kind of movies. So you get opening weekend movie tickets. You get a monthly Zine from A24 with all the cool stuff. You get a gift on your birthday. You get merchandise discounts, all kinds of cool stuff. You get monthly credits to go towards those merchandise items on the shop. You get a 10% discount on the shop. Like I said, that Zine subscription, merch perks, limited access, early access to merch, exclusive content. They have an app coming out, and VIP treatment, screenings, scratch-offs, giveaways, all kinds of stuff. It's actually so sick. So if you guys want to be a part of it, use the link down in the description of this podcast to get more information, and I will see you at a movie premiere possibly. Thanks, guys. Back to the podcast. You guys have a printer, which is awesome, and you said it took you some time to like find the right one. And so did you guys get like different companies to like print this so you could like see what it looked like in person, stuff like that? How did you guys go through that process?
Good question. So originally we intended to get proofs, basically, which most printers will do if you pay like a reasonable fee, or at least like paper swatches, but we ended up cutting that part off the production because we got invited to be part of a like Dents magazine did a zine fest, and they also publish a magazine. I had like I have a photo essay in it that's about abandoned Paterson, New Jersey.
Nice.
And anyway, so we wanted to get it done for that, and there just wasn't enough time left to get proofs and printing. And to be honest, we cut it so close with printing that Max drove all the way down to Philly. I think like the night before we were supposed to be at the zine fest, and loaded up his truck and drove all the way back to and
then all the way
New
back
York.
to Jersey.
That's so badass.
Then all the way back to Jersey the day after.
That sounds
I think, Mike, you got to give yourself some credit. You did some research, and you did find this spot was highly recommended by all.
It was, and that turned out to be a really good decision. But it was basically decide what we want in it, do the writing, do the interviews, lay
Sure.
the whole thing out in InDesign, then spend 8,000 hours tweaking the colors for
Oh yeah. Oh
printing
yeah.
to get them right, and then we proofread, which I guess we did an okay job of, and then
Sure.
we sent it digitally off to the printer, and then I don't know, maybe a week and a half later we got the zines back.
So when you guys sent the, mock-ups or like the PDF or however you formatted everything and sent it off to Fireball, what was their kind of response or reaction to the content? Because when I get my photos printed at the local film boutique printing lab, they're always like, these are so sick. Abandoned stuff looks so cool. When it's for like, did they have any response to what you guys were creating?
Zero.
Oh, they didn't give a
reaction.
shit.
No, and maybe they did.
They were like,
and
bro,
just
it's
being
just a
professional.
Tuesday. Yeah.
They're like, do you know what we print down here? No,
Yeah,
zero,
yeah.
zero reaction.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but Kay, back to what I was saying before about
Yeah.
I'll grab a rando person from the street, and I'll
Sure.
take them urbexing, and they'll be like blown away by it.
Yeah.
When I was involved in a beautiful book myself, like UK, and my buddies from Paris, and we had it printed, and it's a coffee table book.
Yeah.
And my buddies said it when they went in the inside the publishing company, and it had the workers laid out and talk. They were blown away. It's that same thing. Like the average person has no idea what urbexing is, and they were blown away by the image. Like, yo, that's so crazy. Like a lot of people have no idea what the hell is out there.
It's so if you want to find it, you will find the beauty and the art inside all of these places. And like for me, some of my favorite images that I try to get in buildings that have this is when plants are growing back up through the floor.
Oh hell yeah.
Because like nature will always win over anything we try to do to it. I swear, man. Like it will always prevail, and like it just goes to like show that there's so much life still in these places. And I also think that, abandoned places, I think I think buildings hold energy, like whatever happened there. So like if you're in an old asylum, like there's a fucking energy in that place. You know what I mean?
I agree 1,000%. Right, Mike? You agree with that. Some spots that have a dark energy.
Oh, dude, 100%.
I felt the dark energy. I don't know about the good energy.
I call it the darkness.
Yes.
It's got a name.
If you had asked me that question 3 months ago, I would have kind of laughed and been like, yeah, okay, I've been a million places.
Sure.
We went to a place in Portugal, and I can say, Max, you were there to witness this. I can say unequivocally, it was the first time in my entire life that a spot actually spooked me by feeling.
Yeah.
It was so intense, right? I was like, let's just get out of here. And I wanted to leave from like 5 minutes after we got there. It was just
it's that moment.
It was very strange.
It's that moment you turn a corner with your homie and you look down the hallway, and it's like the darkest fucking darkness you've ever seen or experienced in your life, so much that you feel like it's looking at you, like it's looking into your soul.
Yep.
It's and you at the same time look at your boy and you're like, we should probably get the fuck out of here, huh?
Yeah, we literally turned to each other. I'm
telling you, it's a real thing.
And we were like, Mike, Max, we're like, let's get out of here. Like we both felt it. And even though it was daytime.
Oh yeah, no, it's
always
always daytime.
Zero chance of getting caught here, right?
Yeah,
no chance.
Zero chance of getting caught.
The memories the whatever memories that haunted that place was for the first time it felt palpable without a doubt.
What kind of building was it? Like what
it
was the
a
building?
5-star hospital. And it's the kind of hospital that people like always talk about. It had full medical equipment. There were cabinets filled with drugs, which I have never seen before, because that is the first thing that disappears in any spot, right? It was very, very odd.
The first time I felt that when I was exploring, that feeling of like, I call it the darkness because I don't know how else to explain it to people, was in a office building. But same type of deal, middle of the day, no chance of getting caught. The whole town was abandoned. Like nobody's coming to find us here. And we're walking through this office building. There's desks, there's chairs, there's paperwork. Everything's there. And then we turn this corner and it's like, it looks like you're like looking into hell. And you're just like, we should get out of here. But like, it was an office building. Like, what could have happened in this? But who knows? But yeah, it's a real thing. And like you said, like you were skeptical about it until it happened to you.
For sure. And this is kind of like a PSA, I think,
Sure.
for explorers in general. But this place had a kind of, I don't know, we always call them death traps, but this had an interesting death trap that I had not seen before and people should probably be aware of. But basically, the first, I don't want to get into this place, it's too horrifying, but the first floor was sort of like a reception area and had like a carpeted floor. Like
in a
nasty,
hospital? That's disgusting.
Well, this was the first floor, which I think was like a reception, like
still
waiting
gross.
area. So, but the thing about it is, gross, disgusting, red carpet. But when you stepped on that carpet, it was completely like taut and normal looking. The entire floor underneath the carpet had rotted away in the last 30 years. So you stepped on it and it was like stepping on like an Indiana Jones like movie trap.
Like a booby trap.
Yeah, like straight, like boom, right?
What the fuck?
Yeah, I was the most like conservative of the three of us. Like I was like, I'm not falling. And for some reason I just did like the blind indie one. I just walked and I fucking levitated to the other room. I don't know how I did that shit. Dude. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna go right through.
See ya.
And I didn't fall. I don't know what exactly I did. Mike didn't walk through it. He was like, bro, I'm not doing that. And I don't know how.
He did the edge shimmy around the wall.
I did do that. Yeah, I kind of went on the edge, but I don't even know if that's a thing. I'm not an architect or an engineer.
I don't know shit about shit.
Yeah.
I was in the UK acting in a friend's movie. He's making like a Saw-esque type of like detective is trying to find the killer, but there's like by the time he gets to the crime scene, the person's already like to save the person's already dead and like the trap's already gone off, whatever. So I was playing a character in that movie and we went to this place in Wales, super fucking remote in Wales, like farm country type shit, sheep outside. But this place was like an abandoned motel or hotel rather, with a bar and like all, rooms and stuff. And somebody knew the caretaker of the place. I don't fucking know how they found this place. Anyway, they were filming only in the bar in this hotel. I was like, we could have picked any bar. Why are we at this abandoned ass bar? Like having to set up a generator for lights. Like why? Anyway, this place was at one point like taken over by people that were illegally growing and selling weed in the UK in Wales, which is just I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it is. And so I was like, do you guys mind if I go while they set up lights? Can I go like explore this place real quick? And they were like, yeah, go, whatever. Take a look around. Be careful, as you do. So it's just me by myself, filming myself with the GoPro, just making a little vlog for the YouTube. And I'm walking and I'm like, sometimes like the floors are kind of and then that second on camera, I literally almost fall through an entire floor. It's just like, you never know. It's crazy. It's crazy. You never know what's going to happen in these places because they're old and they've been left to the elements and like,
but that's why it's exciting. Come on.
That's why it's exciting.
Like to fall through a floor. Come on.
I mean, I don't particularly.
I'm the master of falling through floors. It happens to me way more than it should.
I hate that for you.
I'll vouch to that.
I hate that for you. Okay, so back to the zine. How many copies are you guys running per issue? Are you going to do like some limited edition stuff? Like, tell me a little bit about that. And how are you getting them out to people? Are you only mailing them out? Are you planning to do like art events or, anything like that? Or put them in like Barnes and Nobles or wherever people get books?
So for this one, we did just 400 copies. And then we're trying to do 10 of those copies come with a signed print from one of us, which is cool. And so I don't know that we'd print any more of this one. And, right now we've just been selling it word of mouth online. We did do the Dents Magazine Zine Fest, which was really cool. We got to meet a lot of great people, a lot of other cool zine makers. If people think the zine world is not alive and well, you are sorely mistaken. There are tens of thousands of people out there making really, really cool stuff. And then, yeah, we've been selling it on our website a little bit as well, which is wideopen247.com. And then I think we would do other art events, right, Max? It's the people are not knocking down the door to to invite the zine makers to their
Sure.
art events. So, but totally, we do
Well,
that
we're gonna
every
we're
week.
gonna we're gonna have a little show, Mike and I, sometime, I think this summer, and then when we have our photographs on the wall, we're gonna have the zines there. I think selling any kind of print copy is always better when you sell it and when people can actually physically touch it.
100%.
I mean, putting it up on an Instagram post is not the same. People get intimidated. What I got to do? I got to pay for shipping, blah, blah, blah. But if it's in front of you, like, hey, here it is.
Yeah, right
10
here.
bucks.
Yep.
Boom, boom. And the shows I've done, I've always found that, having little smaller prints or smaller ticketed items, lesser
Right.
in price, are such a good entry point because people can't always afford a massive framed artwork, right?
Sure.
So I think that's a really great thing that we're planning on doing. Right, Mike? I think that's the goal.
That, and we have started, we are going to start a newsletter. We started setting it up, so we think
Perfect.
occasionally in between print issues, so people can kind of find out what's going on. That'd also
And
be a
and
good place for the RIP list to update
Of
it.
course.
and
Of course.
and also the email for them to for the issue 2 for us, as far as submissions, and people we want to interview. Mike, what email do you want people to reach out to us?
The email called Instagram. No,
Yeah,
we,
is that it?
we, no, I mean Instagram. Is probably the easiest way, but
Sure.
we do have an email which is shooters@wideopen247.com, which is the same as the
Got it.
website.
So either through Instagram, through Hysterical Panic or Max Bond, or through the Shooters 24/7, open 24/7.
I love that you guys are, you kind of did like a limited run of like 400, whatever. I think that's it gives it some I don't know how to say it, like trading cards, you know what I mean? Like it's like people love the like commodity of like a limited run of something. And I think
Oh,
it's cool that you
definitely.
guys kind of went that route. Whether you bring it back in the future or not, you could do a special edition, you could do like a redux or like a re-release or something in the future. But I still think it's cool to like initially kind of make it a little bit more limited because I think it gets people more excited to be a part of something. And I love the newsletter idea. That's always a great way to get information out to people. And, you're talking about potentially doing some other events, art things. And I think I've talked about this like once or maybe on the podcast once or twice, but I have this goal and I don't, normally I'd be like, I'm not going to tell people publicly because I don't want someone to take my idea, but I don't give a shit. Maybe we can do something together. Somebody that hears this, that's like, that's a good idea. I have this goal in 5 to 7 years of opening an Urbex themed museum, whether it be a pop-up type of thing that travels around the country or like a specific location that is kind of effervescent, but it can change out like the artwork. And, I had this idea of doing like, one of the rules, there are no rules, this is an illegal activity, but one of the unspoken rules is like, don't take stuff, but like we've all taken shit. Okay. Like I don't care how holier than thou you think you are, you've taken some shit. But if you did like in this museum, you did like the artifacts of places gone, so it's like if this place has been demolished, but you have for example, I have a sweater that I took from the abandoned Six Flags of New Orleans because the place is being actively demolished right now, and they're just going to throw it into a trash pile. So things like that like would be really cool to like display in a museum and tell a little story about it, whatever. So like something like this, like the zine would be a great piece to like put up in a museum or, something like art show, something like that. I just think it would be such a fun idea for the community, and it's so niche. And like we've been talking about this whole episode, like not everybody in the world gets to do this or wants to do it, but maybe they're curious about what it's like. And this could be a way to get them kind of involved without them having to risk their safety to go do this.
That's an awesome idea
Yeah.
because when you think about it, the whole history
Yeah.
of exploring, more or less, for the most part, just lives on Instagram, and that could disappear at any time. Like, yes, there are people that have websites and there are blogs, but they are at this point a small minority, and they could disappear too. So there really is very little, like, documented stuff. So that's why I think if having a museum would be amazing, but print your work, right? And all
Yeah.
that stuff is important. It could disappear anytime.
Absolutely.
And living in New York City, there's a museum for everything. I mean,
fuck
God,
yeah.
there's
And
a
they
museum,
change
ice cream museum, I
every
think.
weekend.
Yeah, like come on. This would be I think I could definitely see that actually happening. Like,
Yeah.
I think it would be successful.
I think so. And I think it's just unique enough to not
Yes.
be like lame. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the like pop-up museums, you're just like, what the fuck? Why is this
Right.
here?
Yeah. Especially
yeah.
like New York City. There's some pricey like
Yeah.
kinda like
I went to the
interactive
Museum of
museums that
Recycling.
pop
Okay.
up.
I went to the
Yeah,
Museum
they
of
pop up and
Recycling in
they're,
New
like,
York City.
so
Okay.
expensive.
There's like random shit all the time in New York City, which is what makes that place so great. You can
Right.
do anything, any day, anytime. It's amazing. It's a wild place. It gives me a little bit of anxiety on Halloween, but like that's okay. So let's kind of start wrapping this up. How can the community support Open 24/7, whether that be through buying copies, submitting content, spreading the word? Can you guys just kind of tell people a little bit more about different ways they can get involved?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love it if you wanted to purchase your own copy until we sell out of them at some point, which probably won't be too far down the road. But yeah, that's at wideopen247.com. But I think even more than that, send us your stuff. I mean, there's a huge world of exploring out there, people documenting all kinds of stuff that we'd love to see. So if you want to get in print, definitely hit us up. Especially, I think if you've got some stuff from Portugal, that's kind of where our head's at because we were just there together. And then also with Bentley Shots was with us as well. So that's probably going to be our next one. So we had a great time. Amazing place to go shoot some photos.
And Kay, I hate to put you on the spot. Who would you say is a couple of explorers that you love to see interviewed?
That I would okay. So if you can get Shy, because I've been trying to get Shy, and he's like a bucket list get for me. And I know he doesn't want to do like an audio interview, but like if you could get him to do like a written interview kind of thing, would be so sick.
That is valid because Fred didn't want to do it because he speaks fluent English, but he has a heavy accent.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he said,
That's
as
the
soon
same
as I
with
said written,
yeah, exactly.
He was like, I'm down. So
Yeah.
so Shy, and who would be your other choice? If there's another one?
Shy's sick. I mean, I'm friends with Big Banks. I think he's super talented. Been all over the world. Just been a great friend to me in the community. I mean, damn, dude, there's so many. But
I know.
Are you
So
trying to
many.
limit it to just bandos? Because I also have a lot of friends that are like rooftoppers. So, which is also under the Urbex, umbrella, if you will. So there's like Off Grid does cranes in LA. So there's like just a bunch of different people.
That guy has crazy photos.
Bro,
Yeah, but
his
photos are
episode, dude.
excellent.
If you have not listened to his episode of
I
this
have
show,
listened
you
to it.
brother. Oh, what a guy.
But that's so true, Kay, because I feel like when you think of Urbex, you think of like abandoned hospitals, abandoned churches, but there's so much that the rooftoppers, and especially with
Yeah.
myself, the underground people, the subway people, you don't hear enough of that in podcasts.
Yeah,
And
dude.
that would be definitely one that I'm leaning towards. I'm looking for the next guest after Portugal to be a New York City or at least a city person who can
Sure.
expound more about the trains, the subways, the roofs, that kind of stuff, right, Mike? I don't know. That to me is like not talked about as much.
No, the subway world is, and this isn't just New York. I think it's all of it. It's just very secretive.
Yeah.
Which,
It's still very like
which is why it's so
for an
interesting.
underground thing is the most underground you can get, literally and figuratively, is that kind of subway shit, underground mines, tunnels. It's like a whole other thing in itself. What do they call the oh my God, what's the term for people that do like the tunnels and stuff? Oh
Drainers?
God, they have drainers. Yes, you could do a drainers episode. It's just drains.
I've done three drains in my life, and that has scratched the itch for me.
Yeah, I don't
anymore.
do underground. I don't like going underground. I did an old intercontinental ballistic missile silo, and it was
Sign me
underground,
up.
and I was like, get me the fuck out of here. If I don't have phone service, I don't want to be there.
Those are my favorite places, though. Any of that Cold War leftover stuff is so
It's
great.
cool. It's super cool. But like when I did the ICBM silo, I went with Urbex Off Limits, and we did like a whole trip together. And what was crazy was like he wanted to keep going deeper, and these tunnels go for miles and miles. He wanted to keep going in and in and in, and I was like, okay, well, you go ahead. I'm gonna chill here because like we had to like cross some like tiny beam and like there's like still water everywhere. And I was like, listen, if I fall in that water, I'm going to be pissed off. So you go ahead, I'll chill here. So he like goes off into the darkness and I sit on the whatever rusted floor, like a grate. And I'm there for like, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, 30 minutes pass. He still hasn't come back. And my first thought is like, he's fucking dead. He fell off a platform and died, and I'm never going to find him. And he has the keys to the car. So what am I supposed to do? So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take a second, turned off my light, sat on the floor, and just like closed my eyes, even though I was in complete darkness. And it was so quiet. When I tell you, like, I've never experienced anything, it was like being in one of those like isolation chambers. I could hear my brain. Like I could hear the blood in my brain. It was so quiet, and I've never experienced anything like that. And it was like a little jarring, and I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And eventually I heard him in the distance and then saw his light, and I was like, oh, thank God we can leave now. But like
that's definitely a little terrifying.
Underground is pretty frightening for me still, but I've only done it like once or twice, so maybe I just need more experience. But if you guys do a rooftopping episode, you should talk to Drifter Shoots if you can. Do you guys know who he is?
Yeah.
So Drifter Shoots is like really well known for people that don't know. Bridges, rooftops, skyscrapers, cranes, all kinds of stuff.
Photographer too.
Amazing photographer, but his story is so profound. I believe it was his brother that passed, and like that's what got him into like doing something extreme to cope with the loss, and then he fell in love with photography and climbing and all this stuff. His story is just so incredibly like touching, and I feel like that would be great for something like what you guys are doing, to have like to tie like personal stories into the photography. I think he'd be a great person to talk to, and he's another person I've been trying to get for quite a while on the show, and he's just so hard to get in touch with because I mean he probably gets DMs all freaking day.
Yeah, for sure.
But just a talented dude. So yeah, if people want to get involved with you guys, wideopen247.com. How often are issues dropping? Do you guys have like a rollout schedule? Are you still trying to get like the hang of like momentum? Like what's that looking like for you guys?
We're still trying to get the hang of it, but the way it looks now, it's the kind of thing that'll probably come out like 3 or 4 times a year. Because that's about how long it just takes us to put it together. Because it is the layout
it's a task.
Time consuming. Yeah.
For sure.
But I think once we get better at it, I think we'll speed it up the time between issues. We're still learning a lot, and Mike absolutely killed it. He did the heavy lifting on all the planning and the layout. He has a tremendous experience. He worked in major magazines all his life, so that really helped getting it done. So, but I do think we'll get faster at it. I mean, if it was up to me, we put one out every week, but we will
get slower. Actually, I think we're going to get slightly slower because I have this crazy idea where I want to have each issue be printed completely differently. And what I mean, this one is
oh my God
A4, but the next one, what I want to do is have it be 1x1 square, where there's just like one big photo on each page that doesn't have text, so it kind of feels like you're almost looking through like prints at a gallery. So I think that might take a little bit longer, but I think it's cool to do a different like physical format for each
that
one.
Could be that you could also do different like printed material, like mediums, like a different style of paper for like if you did a more like a specific, I don't even know, but like there's so many cool ways you could go about making these. And I think that's what's so exciting about it, is that it's not limiting for you guys. Like the creativity is limitless here. And you had asked me who I would want for you guys to interview, for me to interview, whatever. Do you guys have any like wish lists for dream collabs, like photographers, artists, writers, anything like that?
Oh, that's a good question.
I got a couple. I definitely want to stick to some urban people that I don't think people know about.
Sure.
I'm thinking about the podcast that I've listened to, Urbex. I want to bring people to light that have insane stories, insane talent, insane photography, and a lot of people never heard of them. Like I'll bring up my friend Kurt, who is so fucking talented, and outside of like the ones who know, he's not known, right, Mike?
And incredible explorer, incredible photographer, shoots on film, really talent, but no one really sees his photos. We know a
Sure.
few people like that who are incredible explorers and photographers, and they just
Mhm.
But
don't
just to
have
Mike, just to add
any
that in
online
though,
presence.
he's supremely respected. The people who do know him, and
Oh
it's not
yeah,
like
So he's like
he's not
street
seen.
known.
Yeah, he's just not a huge
Yeah, yeah.
account like
Sure.
people. He doesn't have 20, 30K,
Sure.
but in the community, he's at a high
one of
tier
the yeah
respect level.
one of the best
Right.
explorers, no doubt.
Right.
Amazing. Oh, I love it. Mike, did you have anybody on your list?
I My list would be kind of weird. I mean, I'd love to interview any of the sort of combat photographers that are still working, like Jim Noctway, because I think there's a really interesting parallel between like exploring sort of abandoned places and the kind of stuff that conflict journalists shoot. So I would
Oh,
love
you're
to talk
talking
to one of
about
those people.
combat. Oh,
Oh yeah, I'm
fuck,
talking about
dude.
actual like photographers
Oh
who
my
shoot
God.
places
Yeah,
that
yeah.
fell instead of they shoot places that instead of they fell apart over 25 years, they fell apart
Yeah.
in 5 days. And I think
They
that's
were blown apart type shit.
exactly. I think I'd
Wow.
love to speak to some of those photographers about how they
Yeah.
manage to work and get the shots they get in those kind of environments.
Sure.
Mike,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
That's wild.
I like that, and
Yeah.
an urbex photographer can relate to that because
Sure.
they see the ruins and they can visually connect. Yeah, and then and also the dangers. So that's
Of course.
obviously way more than us, but
Yeah.
that's a great idea,
Like an
Mike.
added danger, even, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the building's falling apart, but also there's conflict going on. So there's like an added element of like real fucking life or death danger there. And it's interesting you bring up combat because it's something I was going to say earlier, but I forgot because we moved on to other things. We had talked about briefly, like, 4th of July episode or like a Zine. It would be interesting if you did like a military locations theme for like a 4th of
That
July
would
type
be
of thing.
amazing.
Like abandoned military installations type stuff would be crazy, but obviously like not all combat journalists are American or live or cover obviously we don't really have we're fortunate enough in America not to have to deal with conflict on a daily basis in the way that say Ukraine or I grew up in the Middle East, so like a lot of areas in that region have been riddled with conflict for obviously centuries,
Decades.
but
Yeah.
thousands of years. But even like in modern times, I just watched a group that I love on YouTube is Yes Theory, and they just brought a woman back to her like childhood home in Syria, because there were like 4 days when there was a ceasefire, and they didn't know the ceasefire was going to end. They thought it was like a full like we're in peace negotiations now type thing. So they brought this woman back to her childhood home. There were still like photos in the rubble of her home. Like it was so heart wrenching to watch. And one of the hosts of the show Yes Theory, he's Egyptian and dealt with like not being able to go back to Egypt because they have like mandatory military enlistment, and so he like fled, so he didn't want to be a part of war. And so he went through his own conflict, but he was saying as they're walking through the like rubbles of the streets in this area in Syria, and he looks at the camera and he's just like bawling, and he's like, people like think that this is like a past thing, like in the past, but this is literally happening right now in 2025, like today. Like this is not over, and like people don't understand like what these people have to go through. And like I have so much respect for the conflict photographers because they are risking it all, like they most of the time don't have to be there. They're choosing to be there to capture these just incredible moments of terror and triumph oftentimes of the other side of it. And so I think it would be really, really cool for you to like also, like you were saying, highlight those photographers because it is just such a powerful thing that they are capturing, and they are willing to risk everything to tell the story.
Yeah, just to get the word out.
It's crazy, but thank you both for taking the time to come on the show and for sharing this with me and with my audience. And, hopefully it helps you guys a bit down the road, get the word out about what you're doing. If people want to be involved, wideopen247.com. Last thing to ask you both is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started making this sign?
That's a good one, Mike. You want to go first?
that you are probably your worst enemy, in that you and the enemy is indecision. The hardest thing I think for me was deciding what goes in and what doesn't, because unlike something digital, you have like a very limited amount of space, right? And that's all that can fit in the X number of pages you're paying for. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely you are your own worst enemy, indecision.
I just think that you got to trust yourself too. I think we both know, kind of what we're doing, and sometimes you second guess yourself. It's kind of like indecision too. Just trust yourself more, right, Mike? And we know what's up, and you should just have faith, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's how we ended up getting it done. So it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough. This is an
Of course.
amazing
Yeah, thank you
combo,
so much.
and looking forward to speaking with you more often. And like I said, I really hope we can all explore together one day.
I would absolutely love that. Oh, last thing about Portugal, since that's your next zine episode. Did you guys hit the Panoramico de Monsanto while you
We
were there?
did.
Oh,
We did, but unfortunately, we got a little dead spot going on.
wait, what? Did they lock
Well,
it up? Wait,
we
what? Tell me everything.
it was a temporary dead spot. So Ryan, while Mike got in a little later than us, so Ryan Bentley Shots and I, while we waited for Mike, we drove right to it from the
Yeah.
Lisbon airport.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, they're refurbishing it. They were like doing some work, and there was a couple
No
people
way.
there. It was fenced off. I was like,
What?
"Fuck!" I mean, I was there years ago,
Yeah.
but I definitely want to go back. They changed there's a new art piece that's insane. Da Vinci, the
Wow.
famous Da Vinci. The I forgot the exact word of it.
The
The
dude with the
man.
arms and the fucking legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vitruvian
I don't know what it's called.
Man.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Vitruvian Man.
Both
So
of
there's
us
a
were like, what the fuck is that?
yeah. So there's a Vitruvian Man. I would love to shoot that, but it's all
Oh,
right.
cool.
I think Portugal is calling me back. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
have an opportunity to explore in Portugal, definitely go. One of my best experiences, one of the best countries I've been to for exploring.
Dude, my dad and I loved that place so much. First
Hell
of all,
yeah.
we had like we hired like a private tour guide, and this dude was, in his 20s, and he spent a lot of time in Europe as a DJ, and now he does like guided tours in Portugal. He's a car photographer, super cool guy. We still stay in touch, but we did, he took us to like, the lighthouse and like a bunch of really cool spots. And then I was like, "Hey, have you heard about this place, the Panoramico de Monsanto?" And he was like, "Yeah, I can take you there tomorrow." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what the fuck?" So he picks me up. We drive up there. There's like there's a security guard outside, obviously. And I was like, "Oh, damn, that's a bummer." He was like, No, it's fine." And so he gets out of the car, walks over to the guy, and he's like, comes back to the car. He's like, "He said we could go in and park and just go explore. He doesn't give a fuck." I was like, "Oh." Okay. So we got to check that place out. Absolutely incredible. And that was one of the places where I was like, what would be so sick is if you could somehow find the architect that built places like that, or any architect of any like sprawling, amazing location. I would like to explore abandoned places with the architects that built them, just to get
Oh,
their
yeah.
perspective.
Yeah,
Like, how
to get all the
fucking
secrets of it.
sick. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, how do you feel about this place you built
Yeah.
going abandoned? Like, how do you feel about that? Like I just,
And all the
that
Easter
place
eggs.
specifically. Yes. And that place specifically, I was like, damn, I wonder what this architect thinks about this place, But yeah, thank you guys so much. One more time, let people know where they can follow both of you and how they can get involved with Open 24/7.
Yeah, you can go to wideopen247.com, and I'm on Instagram at hysterical.panic.
And I'm on Instagram at max.bond, and looking forward to anything we get feedback from everybody out there. And Kay, you're the best. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, friends, that was my episode with Hysterical Panic Mike and Max Bond, the co-creators of Open 24/7, a zine that you can now purchase and get involved in. If you guys do want to support what they are doing in any way, whether it be by purchasing a copy of one of the episodes of the zine, or if you want to submit your own photography and stories to them, head over to wideopen247.com. And good luck. I hope you guys get into the zine, and I hope that you support what these guys are doing. I think it's really cool and unique and creative, and I'm a sucker for printed artwork. So definitely go support what these guys are doing. Give them a follow on Instagram. And if you want to come on the No Tracers podcast, hit me up either on my Instagram, no.tracers, or contact@notracers.com. You can also go, if you want to support what I'm doing further, you can purchase one of my photography books or a bunch of different types of merch I have at notracers.com. I also have a YouTube channel where you can see my explorations and the things that I'm up to. Thank you guys for supporting No Tracers. Thank you for listening to another episode. I will talk to you again very soon. My name is Kay. As always, stay strong, keep enduring, go out, go explore something, and remember, leave no trace.